It appears Gypsy Rose Blanchard's books have been removed from the shelves of the Garden District bookshop not even 24 hours after she held a book signing at the location.
So apparently everything was already pre-signed, and it was just because she was getting nervous with everything going on. So she pre-signed everything already, and it was just to help her save time.
Girl, let's get into the fact that Gypsy Rose's book signing was a complete setup and a fraud. Buckle up. This story's crazy.
The drama surrounding Gypsy Rose Blanchard's book signing event has reached a fever pitch, and let me tell you, it's not just your average meet and greet chaos. This story is dripping with allegations, manipulations, and outright scandal. Gypsy Rose has always been a lightning rod for controversy, but this latest fiasco could cement her reputation as anything but the victim she's claimed to be. From her books being mysteriously pulled just 24 hours after the signing to accusations of orchestrating takedowns of critics and silencing dissenters, this is a tangled web of deceit you don't want to miss. One of the most jaw-dropping claims, the idea that the entire event was a calculated setup to target her critics. If you've been following this saga on TikTok or Reddit, you've likely seen the growing wave of creators exposing her narrative. And they're not coming empty-handed. These allegations are reportedly backed by court documents, medical records, and years of digging. Attendees described the event as anything but welcoming, with strict security treating guests more like suspects than fans. Buckle up, because we're unpacking every gritty detail.
This is the email that I got. I will put it up right here. They are paying supposedly $100 to the creators for whoever agrees to let them use their content, I guess. I think it's per video or per clip. But yeah, I'm sorry, but I don't want your $100, Gypsy. I don't need it that bad. And Gypsy, how are you gonna have a book signing and not actually sign the books? You know how you go to a meet and greet and you get somebody to sign something and you get a picture of them signing it and you just get the whole experience. You get to talk to them, say, yeah, can you make it out to so-and-so for such and such and blah, blah, blah. You know, that's what a book signing is.
Pink Pony Club, a popular live streamer, found herself at the center of chaos when she was abruptly kicked out of the event, despite being a paying attendee. Security labeled her as a danger, but the real controversy? It wasn't about safety, it was her boldness in exposing the truth about Gypsy. The situation is raising eyebrows, and fans are left wondering, was this about keeping order or silencing a voice that dared to speak out?
Hi, Pink Pony. I'm so sorry. We're gonna have to ask you to go. Thanks.
This is exactly what I need.
Please.
Okay, you don't get to touch my personal belongings. You're putting your hand in my face.
That's not for me. Doing this?
You gotta step on there.
And why am I being asked to leave?
You're considered a threat to this event, unfortunately. I'm so sorry.
I'm considered a threat to this event as a paying customer.
Why?
This is a public place. I paid for a ticket.
Okay, take a walk with me.
Okay, can I get what I paid for though? The product that I paid for?
Here's your refund.
I paid for a ticket.
Okay, take a walk with me.
Okay, can I get what I paid for though? The product that I paid for?
Here's your refund.
Hilarious. Y'all see this? I'm a threat to the convicted murderer's autograph signing. Me, a live streamer. Y'all see? I'm a threat to a convicted murderer. Me. That's hilarious.
This wasn't an isolated incident. One creator revealed that anyone who dared to question the event was met with outright hostility, a stark contrast to the open dialogue Gypsy's memoir supposedly promotes. Even before the event kicked off, multiple creators reported receiving direct threats allegedly linked to Gypsy's team and family. These threats got so intense that some creators, fearing for their safety, reached out to local authorities to document the harassment. Shockingly, even some of the police working at the event appeared more focused on protecting Gypsy's public image than addressing legitimate concerns. The lengths taken to silence dissent were not just disturbing, they were calculated. And here's where it gets even murkier. Lifetime Television's involvement raises serious questions. Cameras were rolling as creators were escorted out, framing them as disruptive or threatening. Instead of promoting transparency, the event felt like a staged effort to discredit critics and reinforce Gypsy's meticulously crafted narrative.
Okay, so if you guys don't already know, there's a whole movement of the truth of Gypsy Rose Blanchard that's happening on TikTok. And I didn't know this until like summertime. Like, lo and behold, I actually thought up until her, release that she was a victim of abuse and was actually excited. I am embarrassingly admitting to y'all that I was excited that she was being released because I thought that she was a victim. Okay, they did a really good job of selling that story from her plea deal to the major media outlets and to, these major networks. Never once said that I was organizing a protest, never once said that I was leading a vigil. So y'all need to understand, in the week leading up to this event, I'm getting violent threats made against me about acts of violence being committed when I show up to this event. And these are from people who are directly tied to the Blanchard family. And I walk upstairs to the corridor, and mind you, this is before the event has even started. And, I'm trying to be super chill despite what the hell's going on, despite the fact that people are threatening my life. Imagine my fucking surprise when I get swarmed by police, sitting down at a table, quietly minding my business. After having just identified the person who's threatening my life to a New Orleans police officer, I get swarmed because I declined to interview with Lifetime Television. And I go back and play back the video later on, and the officer who said he was taking care of the threat is standing in the background watching all of this.
Is this how someone seeking healing through her memoir behaves? Or is it all part of a calculated strategy to control the narrative at any cost? For many observers, Gypsy's actions at this event sent a louder message than any words in her book. But here's where things take a wild turn: the mystery of Gypsy's disappearing books. Imagine this: within just 24 hours of her book signing, the Garden District bookshop had erased every trace of her memoir. Copies of the book, gone. Promotional displays and event signage, vanished. Even the specialty Gypsy Sour Espresso Martini was wiped off the menu. And the signed book section of the store, not a single trace of her memoir remained, as if the event never even happened.
It appears Gypsy Rose Blanchard's books have been removed from the shelves of the Garden District bookshop not even 24 hours after she held a book signing at the location. Now, I'm sure several of you heard of the book signing which took place in New Orleans at the Garden District bookshop yesterday. Attendees had the chance to meet Gypsy Rose Blanchard and get a copy of her new memoir. I attended this book signing event where they had several signs displaying and advertising Gypsy Rose and her book, even a specialty cocktail for Gypsy Rose, the Gypsy Rose Espresso Martini. However, I went back to the bookstore today and there was not a sight of Gypsy Rose's book. I looked all over the bookstore and it appears as if Gypsy Rose's book was never even sold there. No signs were remaining advertising Gypsy Rose's appearance at the bookstore. The Gypsy Rose Espresso Martini was removed from the menu. And I looked all over the bookstore for any copies of Gypsy Rose's memoir, which is supposed to be available at this bookstore, and it's not there. As you see here, there's a signed book section of this bookstore, and Gypsy Rose's book is not there.
Was the bookstore scrambling to distance itself from Gypsy amid backlash, or could this have been part of an elaborate publicity stunt? Speculation is swirling about whether the event was ever intended to foster genuine engagement, or if it was crafted to stir up controversy and rake in media's attention. Attendees and observers were left baffled. One described it as almost like it never happened, a statement that speaks volumes about the eerie aftermath. Others noted how odd it was for a store to so swiftly disassociate from an author they had just heavily promoted, especially after such a notable buildup. Adding fuel to the fire, some attendees speculated that the abrupt erasure might have been premeditated. The vanishing of books and promotional materials hints at a calculated move to minimize fallout from criticism. It raises a burning question. Did the backlash get so intense that the bookstore felt compelled to erase Gypsy's presence completely? Or was this a well-coordinated tactic to drum up intrigue and controversy? Reports of dissatisfaction only deepen the mystery. Fans and critics alike voiced their disappointment on social media, accusing the event of lacking authenticity. From pre-signed books to a stifling atmosphere, the experience seemed designed more for optics than for fostering any real connection. Was this a case of bad planning or a masterclass in manufacturing drama?
Gypsy Rose's new book? It's all lies. How do I know? Well, because she told me. How did she tell me that she's lying? Well, go back and watch her interviews. Go back and watch her documentaries. Go back and watch every time she spoke and told the story. She contradicted herself. She exaggerated it herself. She is the one showing that she's lying, because if this was a true victim story, why does her story keep changing?
When your own hosting venue seems to wash its hands of you within hours, it's hard not to question if the event's failure is a direct reflection of who Gypsy truly is. The abrupt disappearance of her memoir, both literally and symbolically, only amplifies the larger narrative at play. Was this erasure a strategic ploy to ignite curiosity and boost sales, or a panicked attempt at damage control? Either way, it's yet another controversial chapter in Gypsy's polarizing story, one that grows harder to defend with each turn. But that's not all. Let's dive into the books themselves. Gypsy's choice to pre-sign every copy instead of doing it live raised eyebrows everywhere. Officially, the reasoning was to save time and avoid what she called a threatening environment. But for fans who showed up hoping for a personal moment, it felt like a slap in the face. One fan claimed the signatures didn't even look real, describing them as printed rather than handwritten. Disappointment flooded social media, with fans calling the movie impersonal and a huge missed opportunity to connect with her followers.
Now, there were a lot of rumors going around about Gypsy not having a pen to sign the book, and nobody really knew why. Well, y'all know I had to get the scoop. So apparently everything was already pre-signed, and it was just because she was getting nervous with everything going on, so she pre-signed everything already, and it was just to help her save time. Also, no one was allowed to bring personal items because there were a lot of threats that were going on in regards to showing up at the book signing. So everything was basically planned out to keep her safe, but the reason why she didn't have a pen is because she already pre-signed everything so that when they came, hand them the book, boom, done.
Many felt it was yet another calculated move by her to avoid genuine interaction while controlling the narrative. One disappointed attendee shared, "I spent hundreds of dollars on travel and tickets just to get a mass-produced signature. It felt like she didn't care about us at all." This sentiment echoed loudly among others who voiced frustration at the lack of meaningful interaction, particularly for an event marketed as an opportunity to meet Gypsy in person. Critics have called it manipulative, citing a broader pattern of Gypsy shielding herself from scrutiny. While prioritizing safety, especially given the alleged threats she's received, may seem reasonable, fans couldn't ignore the underlying tone of control in her actions. Many speculated that this wasn't about caution, but rather about crafting a sanitized image. Online, one fan vented, "It's one thing to pre-sign books for safety, but it's another to give us something that feels fake." These grievances add to a growing list of criticisms surrounding Gypsy's public appearances, which increasingly feel orchestrated rather than authentic. In interviews promoting her memoir, Gypsy has emphasized reclaiming her narrative, presenting herself as a victim of her mother's abuse, and as someone seeking transparency. But at this event, actions spoke louder than words. Reports of critics being removed, dissent silenced, and superficial interactions raised eyebrows. "Vulnerability is about openness," one attendee remarked, but everything about this felt meticulously controlled. This fueled speculation that Gypsy's memoir might not be a raw confession, but rather another tool to reshape her image under her terms. Outside the event, a different story unfolded. Protesters gathered to hold vigils for her late mother, Dee Dee. These were not chaotic demonstrations, but poignant displays of grief and calls for justice. TikTok creators and Reddit users have amplified these voices, exposing alleged inconsistencies in Gypsy's narrative through court records, medical documents, and testimonies. On the day of the event, protesters live-streamed and held signs, only to face heavy-handed responses from Gypsy's team. Some streamers were reportedly escorted out for simply filming, further reinforcing the perception of suppression rather than accountability. Among the protesters, Amber J, sarcastically referred to online as the new alleged girlfriend of Gypsy's ex-husband Ryan, made a striking impression. Donning a pigtailed wig in mockery of the event's artificiality, she called out the event's insincerity. Her biting sarcasm highlighted what many attendees felt, a staged performance disguised as a fan interaction. For critics, this book signing wasn't just disappointing. It was another stark reminder of the lengths Gypsy and her team will go to protect her carefully crafted image.
They were looking for me after the fact. I already had went in and took that there picture with Gypsy. She loved my wig. All right, y'all. I just got back from Louisiana from that there book signings, okay? I never been to New Orleans before. It was real nice. Didi really liked it. She loved being back in her hometowns. I bought a wig. I bought a black wig. It was like up to hair. It had bangs. And I put some pink tinsel in it because I knew Gypsy would like that. We get there. I think we were the first group. We were in the first 40 people, me and Didi. I brought her. I brought Didi's. Didi was so excited. She was sitting there nudging me the whole time, asking me if we're gonna get 2 books. Listen, we get up in there, we're waiting in line. They called my names. It was my time for my ticket. I was number 23. We got up in there. We got up in there because we wanted to meet Jib up in person. Okay, I wanted to bring Didi to see her. Once we got to Gypsy, she was like, I was so nice. I mean, I was so nice. She kind of looked at me a little like raised an eyebrow, like she might have known that I was with Ryan. But Christy was me mugging from the sides, and Rob was just sitting there looking into space because he was like, this is man's. This is all man's, soaking it in. Christy was like...
Amber and others couldn't help but notice the overly controlled nature of the event, which seemed to stifle any chance for meaningful interaction. Every staged moment oozed superficiality, creating an atmosphere that felt more like a PR stunt for Dip's image than a genuine gathering for the attendees. Reports surfaced of interactions feeling overly monitored, leaving no room for authenticity. From printed signatures to tightly controlled environments, it all felt suspiciously rehearsed. This raises a big question. Were any of those connections real? Or were they just part of a carefully curated show to shield Gypsy from growing backlash? Critics argue this event only fuels skepticism about her true motives and the lengths she'll go to maintain her narrative. What's your take? Does this behavior reveal Gypsy's true colors? Or is there more to the story? Drop your thoughts below, and if you're fed up with these manipulative tactics, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to keep the conversation alive.